ครับสวัสดีครับ Hello good evening everyone Happy New Year and welcome back to Landmark or SPE Thailand monthly technical meeting tonight. For those who don't know me, my name is Anupong Chailat. I'm SPE Thailand Board of Director. I will be your part-time MC for tonight. Okay. On behalf of SPE Thailand Board of Director, I would like to welcome you to SPE Thailand monthly technical meeting, which is regular meeting for our networking to support our industry. And we also have the student to join our event for tonight as well. So before we start, please note that please take note of this safety announcement. We don't have any drill. In case of any emergency, please stay calm. We have hotel staff to support us. Okay, for our mission. So we promote our event to get network among the industry and give the opportunity to our professionals and young professionals as well to promote the work and networking for our industry. And our meeting cannot success unless we have the sponsorship from this company. Please give loud applause for this sponsor company. For any of you, if you want to sponsor your company, please contact us for our SPE Thailand Board of Director. คุณเกษียณ คุณนัท as well and อาจารย์จิรวัตรครับ So for the SP member Thailand section valid membership as of today now we are already above 1,100 memberships. Thank you for you all to support us. This is combined 576 professional and 608 student members from Chulalongkorn, Suvarnari, Prince of Songkhla, and Chiang Mai University student chapters. However, we still have more than 91 professionals have not paid the due for the memberships. Please check your ASP account and pay the membership due. Thank you. So for the benefit for the SP member, right? We have the activities, we have engagement for our member and non-member as well, and especially for the member, you can access to our ASP website and database to enhance your skill, both of technical skill and soft skill. Okay, tonight I would like to introduce คุณเกษียณ on the stage to introduce our speaker ครับ
Thank you คุณอนุพงศ์ Good evening ครับ and Happy New Year. Just 16 days past. So anyway, this is our first meeting of the 2025. For those who do not know me, my name is Kasian. I'm the SPE Thailand Program Chairperson. As Kun Anupong mentioned, we regularly arrange this meeting. Typically, it's 10 meetings per year, except April and December, where we have a break for Songkran and Christmas. We have a lot of sponsors company supporting us, so we can enjoy having a network sessions together with your peers, as well as learning new knowledge every month that we provided to you. This can be done at the very professional and nice environment, good food, good wine, at the very limited cost that you are joining us. So again, if you are coming from a particular companies, please consider to support us. So the more sponsoring company we have, the less we have to charge you coming in for this meeting. As simple as that. Okay, so later on, we will also giving you the update of the coming meetings that I will let Kun Anupong do at the closing remark. But then without further ado, let me do the introduction for our speaker this evening. So our speakers, he is beginning his career in 2006 as a part-time wildlife operator onshore Sirikit field. Obviously, you know who Okay. The speaker has over 15 years of experience in the oil and gas industries. His well-rounded expertise, including log analysis, offshore operations, and advanced design skill using software such as AutoCAD and Blender for design and animations. In particular, his technical skills also spans over sand control, well interventions, and completion strategies, covering operation centers in Thailand and extending to more than 10 countries across Southeast Asia, Japan, and Australasia. Currently serving as head of the Center of Excellence or COE at Thru-Tubing Systems or TTS. He oversees contract management, sales, market analysis, and also act as global technical focal point. His primary focus is on design and enhancements of modern downhole oilfield products, including patented submission for Thru-Tubing Systems. Speaker field experience include 4 years in Kuwait and 3 years in Iran as wildlife field engineer for well services of Iran, as well as Schlumberger, prior to returning to Thailand in 2017 to resume the domestic assignment. He holds a degree in mechanical engineering from SIIT or Thammasat University. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me for a warm welcome our speaker this evening, Kun Possawat Pittrapan, Head of Center Excellence from Thru-Tubing Systems.
Okay, thank you, Kun Kasian. Actually, I want to give a big thanks to him. He's not only the one that introduced me to this presentation, but he also introduced me to one of the field stages in my life in the oil field. So, round of applause for Kun Kasian as well. Thank you. So, I guess you guys don't mind if I walk around and show you this, show you that. So, first of all, thank you for having me as part of your evening. It's a crazy Thursday as always, and Happy New Year to you all. So today my topic is focused on evolution of sand control. That is basically what other people and I guess every company has issues with nowadays is the production is not so clean. We can't just get oil from the reserve without getting some pieces of stuff, right? So that's where sand comes in. So evolution of sand controls, more focus on just SEA, Southeast Asia. The agenda will cover the introduction of sand control, methods that we establish and we divide it into parts, some case studies from Southeast Asia. Of course, we do not disclose where it's coming from and the exact data. And last but not least, the conclusion and some recommendations or baseline where to start from in terms of sand control in Southeast Asia. So depending on wherever the region you are in Southeast Asia, this data is suited for mainly just in Asia for now. So a little bit of introduction, of course. What is sand control? Well, normally, if you produce something from downhole, whether gas or oil or even water, you have to expect something else from the reservoir, which is sand. Sand comes in a lot of forms, but mainly we don't want them. So sand control is preventing or reducing the flow of sand while you're producing. That's just the definition of it. So what happens when you get sand production while you're producing or trying to generate some oil and gas for your revenue? Well, first of all, you get equipment damage. Of course, we know sand is a solid particle that does a couple of damage if you have enough velocity. Not only that, it also reduces the lifespan of your equipment after you get some damages. The consequential cause and also some of the things that might happen along the way is you get some reduce in production, and that can be prevented from either early stage or you try to control it at a later stage. Last but not least, reservoir damage, of course. The more you produce sand from your reservoir, something comes out, meaning you leave something behind. Mainly sand comes from reservoir. So if you're losing sand, you're also losing some integrity of your own reservoir. Okay, so there are many methods, and I'm not allowed to mention the name of the methods from different companies. So I did consolidate most of the methods into 4 major categories. First of all, is doing nothing, which is just reducing the production rate. If you do have sand, you don't want to produce it so fast that you can end up damaging equipment's either surface or downhole. Doesn't matter between upstream or downstream. Second method relies on some mechanical treatments. And by mechanical treatments, we're talking about installation or partial installation of something. Either you leave something downhole or you substitute downhole volume with something else. Chemical treatment is based on using solutions where you get a chemical mixture, try to remedial either the formation or the sand downhole before it comes up to surface. And mechanical solution, which is a solution because it is designed to solve the problem permanently. However, that is only when it's ideal. There are so many cases where mechanical solutions or installation also fails. And that is also part of this presentation where we're going to talk about later on. So some key points. I know this is quite a lot of text on one slide, but just to point out some of the main categories and the pros and cons. Reducing production does not involve any intervention costs until you do need one. So what does that mean? It means that you can produce sand up to a certain rate before it starts damaging your equipment and actually have to replace them. So that is what it means. So you do get a low intervention cost because you don't have to do it that often or rapid. Second is you do get some lower production rates because you're trying to control the rate to not produce enough sand to damage something. Mechanical treatment, on the other hand, is what we so-called just treatment. You go down, you have sand downhole, you start wanting to get the sand out, you either go down with coil or slick line, trying to bail it out, get it out of the hole to resume your production. That's what mechanical treatment is limited to. Now, you do get some intervention costs because every time you call out one of our service companies, you're going to have to pay them, right? So it's periodic. You do get a high production rate in return. However, the risk is also there where you end up clogging, bridging, or actually damaging your reservoir at the end. Chemical treatment, on the other hand, is not so done as often as mechanical treatment. If you do a chemical treatment, you expect them to last for a certain period of time. Otherwise, you don't consider doing them at all. So there are more costs comparing to the mechanical treatment, but you don't have to do them that often. So that's the difference between the two treatments. And last, the mechanical solution is when you actually go down and install something to stop the sand from coming out of the formation at a early stage or at an intermediate stage or even the latter stage. So these are the four main categories that I can conclude for us in Southeast Asia and what we do. Oops. สไลด์ไม่ไป Okay. So this is a little bit more dig into detail of what a reduced production rate is. On average, when we do the sample collections from different places from Southeast Asia, we find that if you do a reduced production rate, you might have to shut down the maximum potential of the well down to about 20%. What does that mean? It means that when you're producing gas rate of 5 billion scuffs a day, or an oil rate at 500 barrels of oil per day, you can only expect to produce without the sand coming out at around 1 million scuffs or 100 barrels of oil per day. So a 20% rate is what you can flow without producing the minimum sand or no sand at all. And that's what we're trying to aim is not to produce the sand out, but you still want the oil to come out. This way you don't get that much downtime and you might eventually have to clean up the well from time to time. However, if you don't have to, you might still have to deal with equipment replacement or equipment damage later on. So this cost is somewhat not exact, and also it doesn't happen every time. Case to case is also different. Mechanical treatment, on the other hand, is you can expect to produce as fast as you can, as much as you can, until you can't. So this means that at a rate of 5 million scuffs, you might be able to produce at 4 million scuffs, which is around 80%. However, that well will be full of sand until you can't produce any more. And then your production depletes. Once production depletes, your production is stopped, and then you have to recover all the sand out until you can resume the production again. So we're expecting of what we found so far is 50% of the time when you start producing, it's almost the same amount of downtime that you have to clean it out. So this becomes like a 50-50% where you can produce and you can't produce and you do intervention instead. Chemical treatment is similar to mechanical treatment, but instead of doing something, taking something out, you're actually trying to secure a pattern of sand downhole that actually allows the flow to not produce sand or at a minimum rate of sand. Same thing with mechanical treatment. You do expect some slight reduction of production, so you can still produce as around 80%, and you can produce it for longer than the mechanical treatment because you're actually stopping something downhole. When you do that, you're allowing the well to actually produce naturally while holding the sand that's supposed to be produced out to not produce out. So 70% of the time while you're producing, it does produce without the sand, and then the other 25 is a downtime that you actually have to stop and intervene. Last but not least, mechanical solution. Mechanical solution is a little bit different than all the rest of the methods that we mentioned because it does involve installation. Installation, as we all know, comes with intervention costs, and it may be a lot. It might be small, it might be big. It will depend on the amount of reserve you have and also the complexity of the well we're dealing with. So, as a really conservative rate, while we're doing installation in an ideal condition, you can expect around 50% minimum production rate with no sand after one-time installation. And that is the cost you will have to bear, either at the most early stage after drilling, after perforation, or at a later stage where you feel like, okay, I have too much sand in my well. I'm cleaning too much sand from time to time. Let's stop and find a possible solution that actually we don't have to do this anymore. And that's when people start thinking about mechanical solutions. So producing all the time at 50% of the rate is what mechanical solution offers as a really conservative rate. Now, when we compare all these four methods that are divided individually with the same criteria, how does it perform? First, we do a comparison on the criteria versus what efficiency we're affecting. It has to be the same reservoir. It has to be close permeability or mobility, the ability for fluid to flow. Ideal conditions, of course, because when we do actual wells or actual operations, we can expect so many unideal factors. And that's what we call well conditions, right? Every logging engineer knows we always blame well condition. And also a comparison period. So 3 years should be enough. That is the time we actually collected data, and it's also a time frame where we can actually compare something from apple to apple. We can't really compare a well that's only flown a year to a well that can flow 5 years. So a median between that would be around 3 years, and that's not the average of the wells in Thailand or Myanmar or Brunei. It's just a number that we think that if you were to produce a well for 3 years, this could be useful to you guys. The production rate we're limited as a gas rate because most of the well data in Southeast Asia is, I would say, around 70% gas that we collected and which has the same control problem. So a gas rate of 5 million scf per day will be equal to 450 million scf per quarter, which is 90 days times 5. So we measure this output by quarter. Intervention cost is only a number comparison to one another. So it's relative. We can expect that the less complex solution will cost less than a more complex solution. And we're just giving an idea of what it may cost comparison to the other one. So starting with the comparison of the production. On the blue line top left corner, choke down production. You can expect to flow a maximum rate until you can't. So you have to lower those rates down by testing to know what type of sand rate you can allow or you don't want to have in your well. And at the end of the day, like we mentioned, it's going to be around 20% of the maximum rate. So 50 million scf per quarter is down to 90 million scf per quarter. And you flow that amount for 3 years without any stoppage. Second one, mechanical treatment, the green graph. You can expect to flow at around 80% work, but every quarter or every 2 quarters, you're going to stop and do an intervention, which is getting the sand out to allow the formation to resume production. And this happens at a periodic time where 50% of the time you're producing, 50% is the downtime. Chemical treatment, on the other hand, you can also flow at around 80% of the rate, which is 360 million scuffs per quarter, until it declines down to zero. And that may take up to 3 to 4 quarters or a year. Every time you have to stop for around 1 or 2 months to do the intervention before you have to do it again annually. And last, mechanical solution is a one-time investment. You start from the beginning, and you actually expect the well to produce 50% all the way without any stoppage or any further intervention. Everything is ideal. If you do the comparison, of course, the shutdown will be the least amount of production, as you can see. Mechanical treatment and chemical treatment, you're flowing and stopping, flowing and stopping. When it totals up in the amount of 3 years, you will get a moderate production pool. Mechanical solution, if everything was ideal, no problem occurred along the way, one-time investment will get you the most amount of production rate in a 3-year period. Now we compare the intervention costs. This is what most client companies are most interested in, spending money to do something. Shutdown production, there's a reason why there's a cost there, but it's not that much. So it all depends on what type of equipment you have, how complex the well is, and what parts you're going to replace if it actually damages something. But you can expect some damage over time. It might not be 1 year, 2 years, but at least once in a lifetime. So comparison to the other ones, shutdown production will give you a least amount of intervention, and you might not have to do it at all. What is that suited for? It's suited for, I would say, production rates that are not that many. A small reserve is comfortable doing a shutdown production because there's not much economic to invest. Mechanical treatment, from time to time, in our case, we do it to invest it if you have a high reserve to invest, or it suits your economic plan. So all 4 methods, I would say the intervention cost that you see as a dollar sign is whatever you have to pay per single amount of time. And that's within the 3 years that you need to invest. Now, from all of that, there's quite a lot of data to seep in. However, there are case histories that are done in Southeast Asia. There are factors on how to decide and what to use on these methods that I would just mention here. So first of all is the reservoir characteristics. Low or high sand severity will kind of depict and help you decide what type of methods you're trying to aim for, which will give you the best solution. High or low permeability also has a lot of role in there. Unconsolidated or consolidated type of sand. Are the sand sizes the same as each other, or are they different? Fine content. The smaller sand seems to be the ones that we have to deal with and create us the most problem because they're light to flow out, and it also does a lot of damage in terms of erosion with high velocity. Well completion has a lot of role. I would say it is a 50% chance that if you have a well, there's only 2 or 3 methods that you can apply to it. And some wells that are so complex, you can only have one method, and that's the only choice you have. And economic considerations, of course, this is the most important one, because if you don't have money to do it, then you can't do it. But if you have money to do it, and you decide to do it at the latter stage, you might already run out of budget to do it. So economic considerations are really important. If you have a low budget, means you might have a small reserve. If you have a long-term investment, you might have a larger reserve to invest on. And of course, if you're trying to race against the oil or gas price, you got a good price and you want to produce more, you might want to produce fast as you can and then deal with the sand later. Minimizing downtime is suited for a lot of companies that want to do the least amount of intervention or workover as possible. So this is the most important slide out of here. It is a lot of data, but I did find a way to actually divide it to a way that we can talk about it. This is the data from the actual well data from Southeast Asia, and that includes around 6 countries that we collected data from: Thailand, Brunei, Vietnam, Myanmar, Malaysia, and Indonesia. The reason we have this data is because we know a company that does all of this evaluation all in one region, and there's not many of that. Most companies, like big companies, they have data, but because their geo market is so dispersed out, so they don't get to share this data amongst each other, have the lesson learned enough to actually come up with a graph like this one. So we're not specifying which country is what, but we do divide this into categories of what factors we're looking at. On the left side, there's sand severity, permeability, sand type, the zone of interest, which is the completion type, and the amount of fines. We don't focus on the production type. That will kind of tell you which wells you're suited in, what type of production you have. So starting with the top one, low and medium sand severity. So in our graph, we only have data samples for consolidated sand and unconsolidated sand with high and tight permeability. Now, from what we observe here, this is not just one well, but it's a set of wells that share the same reservoir characteristics. So we learned that in tight consolidated formations, open hook gravity hack seems to be the one that works best at the early stage. And this is done because they know the historical data from the core sample to deal with it at the early stage. So this is one of the least investment and does work is in an oil well, oil or gas well, doesn't matter, consolidated sand type and a high permeability and a tight permeability, sorry. Other than that, people that has wells that have low sand severity does not have to deal with sand control that often. So the most economic methods include some remedial, which is the treatment we talked about. It's either going to be mechanical or it's going to be chemical. The CSC is chemical sand consolidation. At low sand severity with consolidated sand, chemical sand consolidation is the method that a lot of companies apply because they do last quite long in a certain condition, I would say. And other than that, if sand consolidation doesn't work, then they do a reduced production rate or sand clean out, which is SEO in most of the multi-zone wells. Now, when we talk about multi-zone well or where the zone of interest is multi-zone, it means that you have more than one perforation inside a well. And that is what we have a lot in Southeast Asia is we produce commingle. We try to produce or get as much production out of the well in a certain amount of time. Now, if everything goes fine and it's ideal, that's a good choice. Of course, you get more production in a certain amount of time. But if non-ideal cases where you actually have sand, that is one of the most hardest ones to deal with is the complexity itself. Now, looking at the data on the lower side, which is the sand severity quite high and also extreme, there are certain probabilities. We have a lot of data sample that flags as a high sand severity and in different completions. So we found out the method that fails the most is actually case hole growl pack, and we actually learned why. Case hole growl pack is usually done in a multi-zone well, where they try to pack everything in one go, meaning that we have 3 perforation zones. They try to do a growl pack, substitute the sand in front of it into multiple locations or multiple zones at the same time. Now, not the same propping size or the same sand size would be able to stop us at one type of sand or multiple types of sand at the same time. Let alone, if you're doing multiple zones, you're going to have to expect multiple types of sand. So you're going to have to use multiple types of proppant to stop it as well. And that's not really practical in case of growlback. That's why a lot of these are showing as failed in especially extreme case. However, if you do a case of growlback and it fails, can you do a further method? Well, yes, there's also future methods that we do discuss with a lot of these users. What do they plan to do next? Some people has already flown the well for a couple of years and it's reaching their end of well life. They will consider to do some sand clean out rather than do another one-time intervention. So that's where the SEO comes in extreme sand cases. Some of the wells are horizontal. So horizontal wells are also tricky because it does have that complexity where you can't use the same methods for horizontal wells. You got a long section of production that you try to dig in. You do have to expect a lot of sand in those areas. And last but not least, most of these future methods are showing as TGP or Thru-Tubing Systems, not because it's popular, but it's because that's the last option they have. You're already producing through tubing. It doesn't matter if it's monobore or multi-tubing or multi-completion. But at the end of the day, there's not many systems that allows you to do the installation inside the production tubing itself, other than through tubing grout pack. That is why it's showing as all these future methods on the right-hand side for either high or extreme sand cases. However, Thru-Tubing grout pack is also not for everyone. It's mainly designed for single zone, which works best because we do have some lesson learned on case hole multi-zone grout pack. So planning is really crucial. Now, the conclusion from the previous graph, we do have a conclusion on what we studied in the past. Thru-Tubing grout pack is one of those methods where it's reliable if you are in an ideal condition. It's suited for high and extreme sand severity. Doesn't matter if the sands are consolidated or unconsolidated, or it has too many fines. There's so many selections of mechanical installation that you can perform. Open hole grout pack is remaining suitable for low and medium severity sand if they are tight and consolidated. Chemical treatment are best for low severity consolidated sands only. They don't work well with unconsolidated sands. You can't really bond particles that are different sizes. They don't have the same energy level. Sand cleanout or standalone screens is mainly a mechanical treatment because you have to come back and treat it again. So these are always suitable options if you not have any other options. Wells such as multi-zone or horizontal wells does not have that many options for you to pick from. So sand cleanout or standalone screens are suitable for them. However, these options are also limited by the sand characteristics. Low fine contents are fine. However, high fine contents are not fine because screens are not designed to do that. And also equipments are not designed to last with a lot of erosion over time. So how do you know what type of sand control you're going to use? Well, first of all, if you don't use any sand control, you'll start noticing your signs of component damages. It's either going to be downhole where you see some leaks, and that can be verified by logging, or a loss of well integrity. On surface, on the downstream process, if you find equipment damage and you don't know where it's from, you can pretty much assume it's sand, because there's nothing else inside that pipeline it's before you start producing. One of the things that we find really hard to deal with is the complexity of the wells in Southeast Asia. A lot of places, like I mentioned before, 70 or 80% produce commingling, which is really hard to do the treatment, do the installation, and also do any sand control further without any proper planning. So key takeaways and lesson learned from this baseline. Take it, or I mean, this would be like kind of a baseline if you actually consider sand control as part of your production options. Reservoir specific methods, techniques like TGP or open hole grout pack are only designed to work with some part of the sand control system or sand problem that you have. It is not designed for all of the stuffs. And there are other methods like remedialing methods, chemical treatment, and mechanical treatments that you can always do if you're under a low budget or you know what type of well expected life that you have. Economic driven decisions, of course, as mentioned before, if you're trying to get the most out of a well in a certain amount of time, then you might have to produce fast and deal with the problem later. So a one-time installation might not be suited for you all. Optimize operations. I would say we do have case histories where we found wells that are done the same way until they start doing an improvement.
And that's why we talk about the evolution of sand control is if you do have case histories, which is what we're acquiring here over the number of years, you will be able to see the trend and also what to expect from reservoirs nearby. I think that by far is what can be justified as a method to use as picking what sand control you're going to use, just because most of this is not the same. Southeast Asia is really dispersed, as you may know. Locations are not the same. In Thailand, we have high temp wells. Somewhere else, we have high CO2, high H2S wells. They're not going to be treated the same way. So that's what we learned from Southeast Asia is we have a baseline, but the baseline might not work for everywhere. So that is mainly all I have for today. If you do have any questions, please feel free. This is an open floor. Um, thank you.
I don't have to say anything.
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
Very specific question. If you only have sidewall cores and not proper cores, big whatever you call big cores, can you still design your gravel packs, chemical treatment systems accurately? Question one. I always have two. I feel like I've been seeing some technology published recently around just produce the sand, reasonable rate, get it to surface, all the redesign of your pipeline systems, clean it out, go, 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 and avoid this whole problem. Thank you.
Okay. That's something new to me as well. So on the downstream side, there's some more techniques that our gentleman just mentioned, which seems feasible to me as well. So to answer your first question, what was the first question again? I'm sorry. Sidewall coring. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So sidewall coring. Okay, so actually I did some sidewall coring while I was with my day during Kuwait as well. So yes, the answer is yes, you can use them. Yes. So actually, some elaborations. Sidewall core sample while drilling, while logging, any physical core sample is valuable, more valuable than sand built out from when you're producing sand. That actually is the difference between a root cause and a consequential cause. We're trying to solve the root cause, not the consequential cause.
Okay, thank you. There was a question from Kun Philip from Avinia. So, yeah, so the next question, please let us know who you are and where you're from as well, so we all can relate it. Any questions? The next one?
Ah,
We know who you are. Please let us know who you are. So,
Hi, my name is Oranat. I'm petroleum engineer from Chevron. My question is, can you elaborate more on your sand severity criteria? What is the threshold that you identify as high and or extremely?
very good question. So, oh, I just dropped it. Sorry. So going back here, low, medium, high, extreme, right? So low severity means that in a certain amount of period where your wildlife is going to be considered as 100%, you expect around only 10% of that period to produce sand at a certain rate. In extreme cases, you do have MSR, a maximum allowable sand rate, that different company will have different thresholds to justify whether this is extreme or this is high or this is medium. The low one is pretty simple. If you produce 10 years, you only get a kilogram of sand. That's really low. But for medium and high and extreme, it's actually justified by the threshold that like companies like Chevron or PTT actually establish. I can give you an example of PTT Myanmar. So they do have a threshold of 2 kilograms of sand per day, and that they will consider as high. For Chevron, it might be different. That's how people tell us whether the sand severity is high. Why is it like that? Because equipment costs to install a well or make up a well is also deferred from place to place. That's why the impact is also different. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. Yeah, my name is TZ. I'm from Halliburton. I'm from Business Development. So, yeah, I just would like to know, the first question is, right, I mean, before the production side, normally they have to build the sand silo, wherever to dispose the sand. So do you have any technology that how much sand can focus production before we do the tubing grow back or any grow back or something like that?
Really great question. So to answer the question,
Sorry, can you repeat the question? We cannot hear from the back.
okay, the question was, how do you know when to do any of the methods? At what point do you do the methods? And he's asking specifically through the growl back. So this actually depends on all this graph that I just showed here on the intervention costs. If your intervention cost to do a remedial or sand baling is really low, like for example, some companies might own their own slickline company or a slickline unit, or even with the equipments, they could have done that for free, and they might not need through tubing growl pack at all because they can say that, okay, let's stop production here and we'll bring our units in and clean it out, and we'll just resume back with no cost. But some companies doesn't have that luxury, so they try to aim for a one-time solution where they invest once, get an expert to tell them, okay, you need this type of proppant, you need this type of micron screens, you install this and you will get that. So everything depends on economic driven decisions. Um, it also depends on whether or not at that time your oil and gas are expensive. So it does depend on a lot of factors, and different companies does have a lot of this justifications on that.
Yeah, thanks. Second question is, what is the minimum the sand micron can prevent for true tubing graphite during the innovation?
Really good question. So I can't say it's from us, but the minimum we've stopped stand is 7 microns, and that's with 46% of fines.
So that's it, the question. Yeah, some formation is like 3 microns something, right? If you can pass to the true tubing graphite or any intervention, there's any solution for surface production prevention? Yeah.
So what I haven't mentioned in here is the 4 main methods that we do. However, in modern technology, we do combine some of these methods together. So a through-tubing growl pack might not just be a mechanical solution because you might have to apply some acids or treatments or anything before you actually install a through-tubing growl pack. Perforation has a lot of play into through-tubing growl pack. Um, the better your perforation chart is, the better your production will be. So that does, like you said, 3 microns, is that a problem? I don't think so, because by the time that we actually stop a 3 micron sand, you might actually produce them all out already. They might not all be 3 microns. And the actual sand that we're trying to stop is going to be slightly or higher in terms of size than what you're depicting at that point. So we do look at all the sand distribution, either PSD or LPSA, D10, D50, D90, how consolidated or unconsolidated the sands are. And that will depict whether you can use a through-tubing growl pack or not. But for me, personal experience, 3 micron is not impossible to stop. However, you might require some often remedial to clean it out still.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kap.
Okay. Any more questions? Students, you would like to ask something? Always, come on. You always have to ask something.
This
That's
gentleman,
our rules.
this gentleman here has a question.
Oh, okay. Student first. Okay. Volunteer one.
If you ask a question, you have to tell your university name.
Anyone, please.
ที่ไม่รู้เลยว่าจะถามว่าไม่มีคนเคลียร์มาแล้ว
Just talk like if we were the same age. It's okay.
ถามที่จะทดลองคุณนะถ้าถามที่คุณนายคือ
ถามพี่เคน
Give the opportunity to the front table. Please let us know your name as well.
Hi, my name's Lion. I'm from Chulalongkorn University. I would like to ask that for methods on the slides, which one is the most popular?
Good question. The most popular, right? The one that gets done the most
Yes.
is going to be mechanical treatment. Why? Because it's easy to find. It's suited for almost all of the well complexity, and everyone can do it in every cases. But it's not the best solution. It is the most popular solution. It's not the best solution.
So why don't everyone go for the best solution?
That's a good question. So that's good. That's good. So why?
Is it too expensive?
That's correct.
Oh.
Sometimes it depends on the budget. You might have a gold mine, but that mine doesn't have that much gold, right? Same for oil. Your reserve might not have that much to pay off what you're going to invest. So you end up picking the method that is the less cheaper and the one that you can afford to get your pay rise or what you're going to produce out. But really good question. So the most treatment is mechanical solution treatment, but why do people doesn't pick the best solution? Some people are poor.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is this work? Possawat, am I?
Cup chai.
Okay. So I was very impressed. Frank Timmons Tractus. I was very impressed with your presentation. You spoke confidently. You spoke intelligently, authoritatively, no nervousness. Okay. There you go. Perfect.
Thank you.
I would watch you and I would watch our students. And our students, they had total focus on you. Like you're a Superman, you're the hero, you're the role model. Okay. I would like you to spend just a moment or two, talk to our students in 10 years, in 15 years. How can they achieve a successful career and be in a fancy hotel, standing in front of a bunch of old guys and talking about high technology and making lots of money? Give them some words of inspiration.
Wow. Thank you. I didn't expect that really. So thank you. It's an honor. Wow. You're the right. I probably don't want to say this. It sounds arrogant, but I'm probably the right guy to tell you that actually. Okay, so kids. I used to be same age as you. Actually, I got really, really supportive from a lot of people around me. I started like you guys, as a college kid like you guys, but opportunity comes and goes. So if you find an opportunity where you think you might be a use of, you might not like it in the first time, but when you work, when you study, is two separate things, right? In college, you know what you know. When you start working, everything starts from zero. Everyone in this room knows that you start from zero. So, I mean, my suggestion is just try to like it a little bit more until you actually like it. I mean, it does take time. You don't like veggies, but they're good for you, right? So, well, thank you for that was a really nice place. I didn't expect that. So, yes, actually, I think you all do well. Please have some, like the gentleman that just asked the question. Those are really good questions. I'd like to see more of that gentleman right there. I think it's a really good example. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Make mistakes quick. Don't make the same mistakes, and try to create more mistakes. That's my advice. Thank you.
Very well. Very well. Closing. So I think we all enjoy the talk by Kun Possawat. It's a quick and compress the sand management in less than 45 minutes that we are here. So thanks a lot for your talk. Looking forward to hear more from you in future talks as well. So on behalf of SPE Thailand, may I invite Ajahn Yingyot, our scholarship program chair, to provide the token of appreciation for our speaker.
And thank you all for having me once again. And thank you very much.
Okay, let's come back to part-time MC again. Okay, last but not least, let's go to the closing remark. Okay, for the next meeting announcement, the speaker from Medco, Kun Martin, is the topic dealing with glass and air using hollow glass sphere to develop depleted fuels. So, okay, I think not the same place, going to be 7/4 as usual for the next month, 20 February. And also, this year we have a special event from SP. Each year we nominate our distinguished lecturer to give the industry update by professional persons globally. What is special? That is, this year going to nominate place in Thailand. This is a time for you to nominate person you may know to be the SPDL, right? Okay, next for the SP. That's a lot. Okay, for the event for the SPE event, next event going to be IPTC at KL next month. Another event in Bangkok as well, that is SPE workshop for the production asset integrity and collection management, best practice and innovations. That's going to be at Bangkok during 29 and 30 April, right? And the rest you can check the schedule on the SPE website. Next one for our friends, SPWLA Bangkok chapter. We have the event on 30 January, right? The morning start at 5 p.m. and presentation at 6:15. And also another event for CPICS. And during 6 to 9 March at Singapore. Check the detail on the website. Also, this is the special one. For those students who study in the geoscience, there is your good news to apply the free membership for CPEX. Tell your friends now. Okay, and for SP Thailand section, follow us on the Facebook, LinkedIn, and Line for upcoming announcement or upcoming activities. Okay, last one, lucky draw.
And how many? What? One at a time. One at a time. You can announce.
Ashawin from PTT. Wow, perfect.
A fake one?
Lorex.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Then we are.
And one more for tonight. Or two. One. Okay.
Draw 2.
We pick one. It's Andrew Clark from Big Rims. Wow. I don't know. That's a Rolex. There's an AP there.
One, three, then.
Thank you. Okay. Please give loud applause to our sponsor company for this event. All right. Thank you for your time tonight and please enjoy tonight. Thank you. 241. Okay, we still have the passcode for SP 241 at downstairs. Lobby bar. All right, enjoy ครับ สวัสดีครับ Next time.